Essentially, we'll be talking about the the role of African spirituality towards liberation struggle in Africa, right? And this is a very central theme that is very, very important for any kind of liberation or freedom, empowerment of the African race. And it's an integral factor that must be present in our liberation struggle, as in from neocolonialism, from mental slavery, religious indoctrination, and any kind of struggle that we find yourself in. African people has been placed in a very unique position to be the mothers and fathers of these planets. And as such, we have invested with a lot of responsibility to restore balance, sanity, and justice to the planets. And we have been carrying that responsibility for so long, but due to the inception of colonization, things have changed, and Africa went downhill, and we find ourselves in this situation here we are in. Today, I want us to view African spirituality. When we say what is African spirituality, it is simply the spirituality of the African people. And this is essentially how African people view what they call divinity, or their holistic understanding of nature or earth. And as we know, ancient Africans venerate the earth, the elemental spirits of the earth through nature, and their ancestors. This thing that Western people call God, we don't really know it as such in Africa. We know that there's a supreme being, a supreme creator, and we know that there are different kind of gods. Each have their own responsibilities. We have the what we call the five elements of nature, composing of land, water, earth, air, fire, and of course spirits. And these elements there, we believe that they have intelligence, sort of native intelligence, what people would like to call soul. The African belief that everything have a soul or have a spiritual side to it. So we see the planet as a living thing. We see the elements, we see the trees, the rocks, the water, everything, the air as all living things in that sense. And we make contact to our divinities through making contact with these natural elements in various forms. This is involved but not limited to venerating certain elemental deities. We can say people venerate spirits of water, spirits of the plants, spirits of the air, spirits of fire, and people venerate other people, as in your late ancestors, as your relatives, your brothers and sisters, people that have gone before you. You acknowledge them, you venerate them, and try to emulate them. And this is part of the practice of African spirituality, trying to find a meaning in everything that happens around the life of the African, and try to make sense of all that. All this encompasses the study and practice of African spirituality, which includes and not limited to studying nature, the secrets of nature. As you know, in natural living, this thing they call God, once again, nobody have seen that phantom or the entity, but people keep mentioning God and God and God. The only way we can be able to know God is that is to study nature. The more you know about nature, is the more you know about God. And the African people have understand this science for a long time, and they have been trying to venerate
Chief Efe,
nature to
sorry
know
to
more
interrupt
about
you.
God. Okay.
Yes, sorry. I don't think my host, because I dropped off for a minute because of my network, but I don't think my co-host has been able to introduce you properly.
No,
So
no
before
problem.
you,
Let's be talking. I will introduce myself.
oh,
I'll
okay.
introduce myself. I'm just introducing the topic first. It's not about me. It's about the message.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
You don't need
mm-hmm.
to really know me that such, but if you can get the message, I will introduce myself later on. So let's proceed with the message. So we have known that the more you know about nature, the more you know about God. And we have come to realize that nature creates technology. All the technologies that we are using today, men studied nature for men to be able to create or replicate those kind of things so that they can serve them and they can use it to make life easier, to make life better. So nature can be viewed as this thing we call God. So African people study nature. Result. Just the way we mix chemicals in the lab, it is all natural science. And we practice it. All this encompasses African spirituality. So the point is now, how can we use this to free ourselves? Is from any kind of colonization, any kind of foreign interference, intervention, is to go back to our African spiritual practice, because there is a place that we will find the solutions or the answer. Because as African people, we are already complete as ours in our own totality. We don't need any middleman to tell us what to do or to tell us how to live our lives. We already know all this knowledge, but due to the once again the interference or intervention of colonization, we find ourselves in this quagmire. So I have been able to list about 5 major things that we can do to liberate ourselves from the current situation we find ourselves in. And one of the most serious, consequential place that is holding us back is the issue of religion. As you know, when the colonizers came, in order for them to totally subjugate Africa, they have to destroy everything about the African people, especially our spiritual practice. They have to make sure that they cut Africans off from their source, which is their knowledge of self, which is their knowledge of their spirituality. They have to come and lie that our African deities are demons, our African deities are evil spirits, they are this, they are that, and that, and we should throw away them and we should follow them. In fact, in some places they make law. I remember the edict that was made by the Pope that enacted the slave trade. That started slave trade. He said that any pagan or anybody that is not a Christian should be subjugated, and their properties should be stolen. So he made that edict. I believe the Catholic Church did that, and this was how the subjugation and the stealing of African people's resources started. So they make sure that they destroy our spiritual practice. They make sure that they wipe away every trace of it from us, and they demonize it in their own religion. We can take an example of Christianity. If you don't accept Christianity, you are going to hell. And they believe that Jesus is the only way. And this Jesus was somebody from so-called Middle East that is also a European, by the way. And his worship, his image is that of the European. So when the Africans are forced to worship this image, they do not. It makes them to don't see God in themselves. They see themselves as inferior. That their indigenous deities are inferior to the white man's deity, and the white man deities promise them everlasting life, promise them so many things that for them to get those things, they have to die to get it. But meanwhile, the so-called white man is not able to have to listen to him and do whatever he tells them. So what this does to the psychic of the African people, it makes them to be docile. It makes them to not want to fight for their rights. It makes them to believe in a fairy tale. It makes them to be totally subjugated. When the African people start praying to the deity of the colonizers to free them from the colonizers. It is never going to work. For a slave and the master to be praying to the same God, and the God is given to the slave by the master. So who do you think that God will answer to? And besides, if that God have any power to free that slave, do you think that the master will give the God to that slave? So what the white people know, they sent their mercenaries, which are they called missionaries, to infiltrate every part of Africa. What they come with Bible, bullets, and something else, or bombs, or something like that. They came in. If you don't accept the gospel, they use force to make sure you accept the gospel. And most of our people accepted because many of them were already tired of constant harassments and the slave trade and all the rest. They just want to be free, and they don't do anything to do. They have to accept for something that was trending. And most of them have already been decimated by slave trade and all that as well. So we find ourselves in this. And 200 years later, we are still here. A lot of Africans are not Christians. Now, you're going to find situation of many Africans that are Christians and they're fighting against racism, which is what was so-called white supremacy, which we are all suffering from. Now, how can you be a Christian and as a black man and be claiming for equal rights with the white man who gave you that religion? The white man will never give you freedom. You have to fight for freedom by giving him his religion and returning back to your own originality, your own African spirituality. You see why most of the liberation failing Pan-African movements in America and most parts of Africa. You will see many Christians and Muslim Africans coming to Pan-Africanism, claiming they want freedom, they want independence, they want this, and yet on Sunday they will still go to church to go and give their money, their tithes to white supremacy, and which white supremacy will use against them. So you cannot be a victim and at the same time you financing the system that is enslaving you, and you still want to be free. The people that gave you that religion will never respect you when you talk about freedom, because it's like they gave you everything. Somebody gave you house, gave you car, gave you everything, even your educational system. And the worst thing, your own spirituality is the one that still gave you. How can you ask for equality with that person? The person will never take you seriously because you are practically his shadow. You are a caricature of that person. So you as a Christian fighting for freedom is an oxymoron. So when you as Pan-Africans want to fight for do any struggle, you have to study the mentality of the people in your unit or in your camp or whatever to see this person, how does he feel sees life. If he's not practicing African spirituality, he's a hardcore staunch Christian, there is no way that person can actually liberate or really put his full mind in liberating African people from any kind of slavery or neocolonialism, because that person is still working for the slave master directly or indirectly. They are still loyal to the system. They are still thinking of going to heaven. They are still thinking of finding themselves a place in the master's table, even if it's just to eat crumbs. They'll still want to dine with white supremacy. So there can never be any fruit or any kind of freedom from those kind of people. So if you have those kind of people around you, just know that you are wasting your time. Okay? If you really want to be serious in any kind of liberation, you must first of all connect to an African divinity. You must see yourself as a deity. You must see yourself as that God that you are venerating. Your full spiritual essence must be tied to Africa. Your loyalty and commitment 100% must be tied to Africa. So you cannot be, you say you are a hardcore Christian, hardcore Muslim, and yet you want Africa to be free. When everything you do every day, all your actions is to promote Christianity, promote Islam, promote the proliferation of foreign religions in your land, that person is an enemy of Africa, whether they like it or not. They are not in touch with Africa. They are like the black
Chifefe,
face of white supremacy, promoting
Chifefe,
their own ideology in the
Chifefe, sorry to
in,
sorry
in
to
the
interrupt you.
country. Okay.
So sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, but some of our
Okay.
comrades will argue that Christianity comes from Africa.
No, no,
Do
no.
you
I will
agree
not
with this?
agree that Christianity come from Africa. Yes, the what they will say is that when the Greeks came and to Kemet, they got some concepts, and later the Greek fell, and then the Romans took over. It was during the time of Emperor Constantine that the Roman Empire grew to a very large extent, whereby they have a lot of colonies. And then they discovered that, oh, we have lots of colonies now. We don't have enough soldiers to hold down every place. We need to come up with the clever tactics to hold down people. We need to come up with a religious system. If we don't have enough chains, we can go into the minds of these people by infiltrating their spiritual systems. So they discover that African people are very, very spiritual, very, very religious. They don't play with their spirituality. So they discover that that is the right place for them to strike. So they came into Africa, they went to Kemet, they copied a lot of our spiritual concepts. They copied the Holy Trinity, which is made of a man, woman, and child, which is backed by science by the fact that two men cannot give birth, two women cannot give birth. Only a man and a woman can give birth to a child. So our Holy Trinity is made of man, woman, and child. They took that, then they took the woman from the Trinity and they placed the woman with Holy Spirits. So their Trinity was not balanced Trinity anymore. So they got some Christian concepts. They got the story of Cain killed Abel. They twisted it. They got some of our books from the Egyptian Book of the Dead from Akhenaton. They twisted the concepts. So when they get something from us, they got our concepts. They plagiarized it and they corrupted it. It is no longer African spirituality anymore. Yes, they got the concept from Africa, but they corrupted the concept. So I will not agree that it is from Africa anymore because it has been corrupted. So it's not in its original form. If it was still in its original form, then I will say yes, it is still intact. But when they took these ideas, they corrupted and polluted it, and then they sold it back to us. And then they placed the white man as a savior. We used to venerate the sun, sun, as Amen, Amen Ra, because
That's
like we say that it is not exactly the same thing that our people used to practice. What we are practicing now as Christianity coming from Africa is an aberration, not the real Christianity. If you study the way it was practiced here and what they twisted into the Bible, you know that it's not the same thing. That they wrote themselves into the book with a fake history, calling themselves the people of God and the first people, choosing people. Who are the choosing people? You cannot tell me that Europeans are older than Africans when all scientific facts will tell you that Africans are the oldest people on the planet. So who gave birth to who? That is another question. But in the Bible, they say Adam and Eve get Cain and Abel. Who did Cain and Abel got married to produce children? That place is blank. Did Cain and Abel sleep with their mother to produce more children? We don't know what happened there. They said there were only two women. How can Adam and Eve have English name be in the Middle East? And where is this so Garden of Eden? Nothing, no scientific fact to validate all those stories. And in fact, we only find this Adam and Eve story in the Bible. You cannot find it anywhere else in the world. And somebody wrote that Bible. Whoever wrote that Bible was a European, not an African person, trying to rewrite themselves into history as the first people, as a sort of superior people with no scientific basis. So that Bible, I see it is a false book. I call it the lie book. I call it the book of nothingness. I don't want to say all those kind of names, but we disregard it. But we're going to see a
Chidobe.
lot of concepts there that they
Chidobe,
stole from Africa. Yes.
sorry to interject again. So I want to appreciate you for taking the time out to join us this evening and to even talk about this topic. Because this topic is very unconventional. You know what we are discussing tonight is not very popular, and it's also very
I know, I'm
sensitive.
quite
You
aware.
know, talking Yeah. So I think one of our comrades has his hands up, but before I let him speak, I want us to I want you to quickly reflect on this on this question. Uh, uh, how or where did you think the demonization of African spirituality stems from? Because in a lot of rooms or in a lot of conversations where you have this topic, immediately people hear it, they immediately start looking at you differently. So where do you think it stems from? But before you answer that, one of our comrades has his hands up, so I'll let him speak while you reflect on that question. Comrade Joshua, please, you have the mic.
Yeah, good evening, comrade, and thank you, our speaker, Mr. Ife, for gracing this platform. My
You're
question
welcome.
is quite based on the topic today, the role of African spirituality towards the liberation struggle. Um, as much as I understand that Christianity and Islam religion is playing a great role in the dehumanization of our people, I will also want us to understand that we also are a political movement, right? And
Mhm.
to understand that we still need the numbers to be able to propagate any of our program as a political movement. And we know where the numbers are. So my own question is towards today's topic, what is the role of African spirituality towards our liberation? What is the role of when we say African spirituality, that is our own indigenous practices towards us getting our land back, towards us getting our economy back, towards us also getting our culture back,
Mhm.
right? And again, we shouldn't forget that we are scientific socialist people, so we always look at history from the point of facts, right? So to just recap my question, based on facts, you know, how have we evolved, you know, towards the time we're living in right now as African people? Um, People will say, as much as our spirituality is very important, but does it relate to our economic or our material experiences? You know, can we use our spirituality in building more houses for our people?
Yes.
Um, yeah, so my own question is, can we have a practical view on this so that people can understand? It's not like if we're saying uh, this is the best, but can we have lay down facts on our the role of African spirituality towards the destination we're going to? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Your question is very, very long. Okay, please next time just put one at a time, but I will still answer it. It is what we are talking here now, how we can use our African spirituality to improve our life. Okay. One thing you need to know about the African spirituality is African spirituality is very broad. It covers every aspect of the African people's life. It covers your culture, your tradition, technology, medicine, architecture, education, everything about is holistic 360 degrees. Okay. For we to know this, we need to go back to study our history. As you know, a lot of people they ask this question today because we have lost a huge portion of our history. They don't teach history in Africa. I've been to some African countries, even abroad. They don't teach African history. If you want to know real African history, you need to dig deep. When you dig into our history, you find out that civilization started from Africa. All these castles that you see in Europe, when you see those, we built those things. We have those things in Africa. We started it here. For reference, I will ask you to check 711 AD. That year was when Africans went into Europe to civilize Europe. study about the Moors. Who were these Moors? 711 AD, they went into Europe, and they were there for 800 years. They built the first university in Europe, the University of Salamanca. We have lots of staple universities in Africa. Back then, we have them in Sudan, we have in Kemet, we have in Mali, we have in Ghana, we have in Central Africa, we have all over. We started education. We talk about civilization, iron minting, writing, poems, music, so many stuff. It was all here. So those knowledge they are still here today. When you even dig deeper, you wonder what did Europe even invent? You'll be so shocked about what did they even invent. But most of our people, we don't know all these things. Now we're talking about numbers. I know you're saying that we should not criticize Christianity too much because we need those people to be involved. Yes, we need them, but before we can work with them, we must re-educate them by teaching them the truth about Africa. This is where people like me come in because I know that there's a lot of work to be done. In my own case, I left Christianity when I was 32 years. Now I'm over 40, in my middle 40s. So for the first 32 years of my life, I know nothing about African spirituality. I know nothing about African history. There are a lot of people that are over 50, 60 years, thousands of them, hundreds of thousands, even millions, walking around in Nigeria. They have no single knowledge of African history, African, talk less of African spirituality. Where do we go from here? Our work is cut out from us. We start by education. We must teach our people. For we to fight for this liberation struggle, it is not carrying black cards. It is not smashing or shouting. The government that will just send soldiers to kill us. You must re-educate. You must teach. We must study. We must do seminars. We must write books. We must talk about African history, talk about African spirituality. We must show ourselves on social media. You have to do this. Don't think about numbers now, but you do this work. This work is a lifetime work. And it starts by stage. Now, with the power of the internet, which was also built by a black man, not a white man, a Nigerian person invented this internet we are using right now. So another kudos to African people moving forward with their technology and everything. This is our time to re-educate. There was a time people were being tied and chained and shipped to America, Caribbean, Haiti. That was their time. There was a time of the Middle Passage in America. There was a time of segregation. If you notice, each generation have the struggle. Look how far Black Americans have come from the slave ships to Jim Crow to segregation, and now they are still now in a stage of so-called integration, which is not there. There's the white supremacy, but we have moved up. We are moving forward. Right now, this our time is time of re-education. We must start talking about our history, showcasing it, studying our spirituality, practicing it, and explaining it for people to understand. We must do this work. This is our work now. And if we do this work well, the next generation will be in a better place to start actually physicalizing most of these spiritual technologies that we have to move us further. And we must do this. Re-education is the key in this regard. Not everybody will respond when you want to tell them to join. Many Africans now, based Nigerian youth, they are more interested in playing gamble, merry bets, and bet Nigeria than any other thing. So you focus on yourself. There's a saying that you can't change the world, but if you change yourself, your world will change. We'll focus with the little people we have that are dedicated and saw the other time the 80-20% rule as we have now. 20% of the people benefits while 80% does the work. If we can get a small majority of people that is focused on re-education, we can affect the whole of a very large portion of people within the shortest possible time. We just need to be focused and dedicated in what we are doing. There's power in African spirituality. There's knowledge in African spirituality. There's blessings inside. Everything you want is here. Money is also inside African spirituality. But for you to benefit from it, you must dedicate yourself to it. You must actually practice it. Practice it is not a pouring libation or killing one chicken today or tomorrow. It is actually doing the work, re-educating the people, organizing seminars and symposiums like this, talking about the topic, writing books, especially books on African spirituality, actual supporting your cultural practices, upgrading some of our traditions that are not so palatable, upgrading them to fit modern day
Tifefe,
realities. All these are the things
Tifefe,
we need to do. We cannot say because
let me,
some of our traditions, somebody put a seat on a stone for 500 years, must keep sitting on the same stone. We must upgrade, or
let,
we must ask questions of why is this so? How can we do
let me
this
come in
better?
here, Tifefe. I was actually going to save
Yes,
Comrade Joshua. I was going to save the
yes,
question you just answered. I was going to save it till the end of the conversation, but um, yeah, we still have some more
yes.
questions we would love for you. We still have some more questions we would love for you to answer. And if comrades also have any questions they would like to throw to our guests, please let's use the chat. Let's use
Okay.
the chat box option and drop our questions. So back to the question I asked before Comrade Joshua spoke. Where would you pinpoint and say, or how would you say African spirituality got
Okay, yes,
demonized?
yes, our spirituality. That it really
Yes.
happened this in the 18th century. The Europeans, they've discovered that in order for them to fully subjugate us, they must find a way to cut us from our spiritual practice, our spirituality. And the only way to cut us from that spiritual practice is to demonize it. So they demonize it by using other Africans against Africans. They can never fully uh, take us out or even fight us. They have to set two people against each other. Then we also come in to say, okay, these are deities. They are not doing things well for you. The deities are evil. You should throw them away, and they will give you a better life, or they will bring things that people have not seen before. They'll use all kind of tricks to make sure that they cut us from Africa spirituality. Then we come with sometimes with gifts, give you gifts. People are always happy saying things that trick you into taking your artifacts. As you know, most of our artifacts are all in European museum. Most of these artifacts are deities, and most of these deities are like uh, memory banks of the collective consciousness of the community. They see the importance of these artifacts, stuff like this, whereby we used to have them a lot in Africa. What we use things like this to do is to create like a physical memory cards, whereby the consciousness of the community is attached to these objects due to the constant offering, sacrifice, and contact with these objects. These objects now are regarded as a focal point for unity, for a point of contact with the deity of the external forces or internal forces or divine forces. So they find out that they need to take all these items away. When you take something that people have been venerating for the past 1,000 years, you remove it from where it is. What do you think will happen to those people? There will be a kind of dysfunction, disorganization, confusion. And most times the people will not really know what to do. They'll even be shocked that how can this happen before they will know what is going on. The white people have already done what they want to do. So most of these things we are taking away, and they will tell you these things are evil stuff, they are demonic stuff, or the ones they can't take, you should destroy it. And the aim is to cut us off. So for them to do, they have to say our gods are demons. That we say this is devil in their Bible. It is the enemy of God. And if you want to live a better life, the churches still use the same scam today. You go to any church, you tell them you have problem. It is always your village people that is the problem. They don't talk about the governments that is providing that cannot secure the government. We have insecurity issues. We have poverty issues, weaponization of poverty. We have scarcity in the lands, and we have a lot of natural resources. There are a lot of problems that don't require prayer. That if our government is responsible, there will not be a lot of churches in the continent today. But these churches will tell you it is the devil that is doing all these things. It is not the politicians, it is not the leaders. So they will now shift blame from you to focus on an imaginary devil. And instead of you to hold your government accountable, You will now be chasing a devil you have not seen before. All these are a way of demonizing your spirituality or making people to be stupid by not making allowing them to think properly or to make sane decisions for themselves. So religion is a very big scam, and religion is the major factor in demonizing our native spirituality. If we can be able to deal with religion by minimizing its negative effects or exposing it for what it really is, we can be able to liberate many of our people. We can expose religion by exposing the pitfalls, talking about it, showing the evil that they are doing in society, and juxtaposing the benefits of African spirituality. Now, African spirituality have its drawbacks, of course. We have many so-called charlatans in African spirituality, people that are just there playing dress up, people that don't really understand what is going on, and people that are using it as a way of taking advantage of other people, scamming or deceiving other people. So how do we differentiate or find out the true practitioners of African spirituality? We can do that by seeing the people that are doing the work. As a modern day practitioner of African spirituality, you must be a Pan-African quite naturally. You must have a African first mentality. You must try to see yourself as an ambassador, promote Africa in a positive light, try to add to the economic or to the value of the continent by patronizing African businesses, promoting African products, and of course by teaching. You must be a modern day how would I call it, a modern day priest or babalao or advocate, or we say pastor of African spirituality. Let me use that term. You must preach the gospel of the benefits or the importance of African spirituality. So we see a lot of our people, they don't do this. They just sit in a shrine from morning till night. If you have problem, you come, you give them people money and go. These are due to illiteracy from the practitioners. It can be due to also poverty. It can also be due to greed. So there are many issues that is affecting it. But we as young people now, we need to make a difference by differentiating ourselves from those other kind of people by doing the work. When they ask you why you practice African spirituality, you should be able to tell them why. You must have a good knowledge of African history. History and spirituality
Chief,
go together.
I have two questions from what you just said.
Okay.
Yes, so okay, so the first one is a lot of African people would argue that we had all these gods and goddesses in pre-colonial Africa. How come they were not able
Yeah.
to save us from
Okay.
slavery
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
colonization? Sorry, let me quickly
Mhm.
mention the second question. So this for the second question, you mentioned that there are some charlatans also in African spirituality. How do we identify them? Because I've met some spiritualists that would make incantations, and at the end of it they would end it in Jesus' name. So I mean,
Mhm.
so that I don't know what you would say about that, but those are my two
Yeah, I
questions.
have this one too. Yeah, I've met these people. So first of this thing, I used to always say that time that if African spirituality is really powerful, why wasn't it able to save us from the colonizers when they came into Africa? Why did the juju or the gods, if they were powerful, they would have saved us? Well, what you need to know is that during the time of slavery, the African people, many of them, they practice African spirituality, and they also venerate these deities too, as well. The deities that we venerate today, we are like the physical representation of those deities. As you know, this planet, man is the dominant being. This is our planet. Out of all the uh, animals, we humans are the ones that have the highest, we are the closest to divinity. We are supposed to be the image of God. So anything we decide is what happens. If we say this is what you want to do, we have what they call free will. If you wake up this morning, you say, I want to go out, I want to eat this, that is what you are going to do. If you say you want to do any, you have that power. So when the era of slavery come, men that were back there, they actually made conscious decisions to sell other people into slavery, whether they like it or not. It didn't just happen that the white man came to Africa and just start catching people like chicken and going away. No, it has they had conspirators, fellow Africans were aiding them. The way it happens, according to the brief history of West Africa, it was almost like a racket. Same way corruption is happening today in our government. Everybody was doing it. It started with, oh, the white man come and they came to a certain king and they wanted to get some people. They give the king money, gives things he cannot refuse. He will say, okay, the next village, they are kind of our enemies. We can get some people from there. You cannot take people from this village, but we can find people that we go to a place that they don't really like them, or those people that have issues with them. We catch those people and sell to the white people. This is how it started. So with time, almost every group of people, every villages or tribe were doing it. This tribe were catching other tribes and selling. It was like a racket. Everybody was doing it. So when it was happening, some people will think it's only happening in this area, but they didn't know that the white man was doing it all over Africa. And in some cases, they will think that the people that are captured into slavery, they were not maltreated the way we now know that they were heavily maltreated. So it was like a business. Selling people was the order of the day. Even till now, we still have the slave dungeons. We have places like Badagry, which originate from bad agreements, where it's a major slave camp for selling people abroad, point of no return. We have those places. The point of no return, where they will take the slave to and then they will drink a certain water from a well. Once they drink that water, they will forget about their past and they will just be like fools and just walk into the ship. It was black people that prepared that spell, African people that prepared that well, that whoever drink that water will forget their self. It is not the white people that did that. So when we come together and make a conscious decision that we want to do a certain thing, the gods have no option than to obey because we have free will. The only thing that they will do, they will obey it, but we must see the consequences of that action that decision that we take. You must bear it. And guess what? We all bear that decision. Kingdoms, there are some certain kingdoms that think they were very powerful in the past that were actively catching and selling people into slavery. There are so many of them I would like to mention, but you can see them in the history. At the end of the day, these people were also taken into slavery as well, as strong as they are. Let me give you an example of the Benin Empire, my close door neighbors here. We all know the story of how Benin was invaded by the white men and so many things were taken away. Benin used to be very strong. They sold other people into slavery. They were not selling Benin people, but despite all that, a time came, the white people came into Benin. They carted almost all their artifacts and they even took people. It happened to every kingdom in Africa. No kingdom was untouched by the slave trade. We African men, people that were living there, they willed this, they actively participated in this, in connivement with their own people, collaborators, and also their own fellow Africans. So it's the decision that you take that your God must follow. If somebody wake up today and say he wants to be a serial killer, nobody can be able to stop them if they want to do something. No spirit can stop you if you want to make any decision. It's your life. They will only respect that decision, but the consequences, you must reap it. Nature doesn't know good and evil. What nature knows is balance. And guess what? We are still suffering from the consequences till today. That is what we are trying to correct. That is why we are grouped here today, still talking about the same issue that happens hundreds of years ago. But see, people are talking about it today. It's still affecting us everywhere we go. Our ancestors, many of them were all guilty of this crime. Now we are thinking of how do we correct it? We must correct it. Now we have to make good decisions. We have to make sure history does not repeat itself. And guess what? It's already repeating itself. We still have leaders today that are selling our people into slavery. Presidents, governors taking unnecessary loans upon loans upon loans from IMF, World Bank. This is debt slavery. This is a new form of slavery. You don't put the people in ships anymore. You just take loan and when they don't pay back, they increase the hardship on the people. We have a lot of natural resources. We are not benefiting anything from those natural resources. We are still in slavery, but we don't have chains in our hands today. It is still happening. If we don't stop this in our lifetime, it will continue. So the work is for everybody. We must re-educate our people. We must talk about the dangers of this, and we talk about the dangers of this corruption that is currently going. These politicians that are hard there to keep selling the next generation into step slavery. That's why we spiritualists, Pan-Africans, we must actively go into politics. We must vote in elections and we must contest elections so that we can change the system. Very, very important, because politics is power. African spirituality is about getting more power, getting knowledge, getting access. So if we want to get power, the best way is to go into politics. That is where we can spread our ideology properly. That is where we can change the system. We can excel. We can be able to say, okay, we are now inside this system. Now, all those things that these people are doing, stealing resources, or rigmaroling, or doing all these evils, we can stop it. So we must take part. It. The evil seeds of those evil people, we keep going into there to hijack the power and continue to enslave us continuously and it will not end. So we must go into politics. There is no two way about it. We must involve ourselves in the system.
Yes, so thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Chief Efe, for re-emphasizing the importance of political participation when it comes to the liberation struggle. But you've not answered my second
Exactly.
part of the question.
Okay. Yes, the second part.
Yes, identifying charlatans in African
Yes,
spirituality.
yes,
How
yes.
do
How do
we?
we identify? You identify them by looking if they are actually doing the work. Like some people, they just play dress up. When they talk about Africa, they'll be the first to say Africa and practice it. They dress up, they do offering, or try to speak in a certain way. But are you actually doing something to change Africa? They don't really do it. These people, you will go to their shrine, you carry offerings, carry cola, carry drink. You'll be surprised that this person will be doing libation in the name of Jesus. I see it all the time. They are doing this for two reasons. One, they're doing it to please the person. Another one, they actually believe that Jesus Christ have more power than African divinity. So they believe that Jesus Christ is the ultimate power. So when they're doing this, they are trying to push you from your ancestors, that your ancestors are inferior or your ancestors are demons, that Jesus Christ is the greatest. So this is a very bad thing because it sends a very dangerous signal to the youths. So we must not accept it. I have been challenging when I started my African spiritual practice. I went to my village. A lot of elders were doing this. I was the one that started correcting them. If you do this, I correct you. If you don't take the correction, I don't buy drink for you anymore. I don't support cola anymore. And if you say this thing, anybody that do it, I correct a lot of them. Now, when people see me, they know not to call that name in where I am. If you call, I will take my money back. You don't spoil everything. So it doesn't make sense that I will go to a shrine with my offerings and you will not be praying in the name of Jesus for me. I might as well just go to a church and go and meet a pastor. So most time I correct all this. We must correct all these things because some of them don't want to stop. And a lot of these practitioners are just using it to hustle, just to get the drink, the cola nuts, and the money for supporting cola. It's a hustling thing for most of the chiefs. They don't care. We must make them care. So our generation needs to be different. Our work is cut out for us. When you come out like this, at first it will be difficult, but later when people know you for who you are, they will start respecting you. I've been able to cut across many barriers that when people see me now, they know how other spiritualists, they know what they speak about me, they know how they behave about me, they know I don't take certain nonsense. You must do it properly. If you pray in the name of Jesus, I ask you to correct it instantly. If you don't know how to correct it, I will correct it for you. And if you don't want to correct it, that is the end of me and you doing anything traditional or spiritual. Because it's a disgrace for an adult, as a somebody calling himself a chief, a elder, to be doing this in public, to be pointing the youth in the wrong direction. I don't believe the ancestors will really be happy. You taking the glory from the ancestors and giving to a foreign entity, and you think that it is normal. How do they don't even think about the importance, the benefits? These people, they are charlatans. And when you meet some of these people, they ask for too much money to charge you for services. You know that they are all about the money. This is why more reason we must learn African spirituality by practicing and doing spells and stuff for ourselves. And a lot of them are just hungry people. They will say anything just to get money from you. These are people that are not real practitioners. A hardcore practitioner, when you're working with a deity, you know that this is a deity you are dealing with. There is no middleman. Nobody needs to come in between you and that spirit. You know who you are. You are proud of who you are. So you are proud to identify with that spirit. If you are ashamed of the spirit, you are ashamed of being an African, you are ashamed to identify. That means you don't really have faith in the practice. And I don't think those people will have a lot of power, or what they are doing will really work well for them. So my African spirituality, when I start practicing, I wanted to hide. It didn't serve me well until I come out, start doing the work. This work of re-educating, teaching about it on the YouTube channel, writing books on the subjects. All this is the re-education things that I have been able to do to correct many things about African spirituality. Nowadays, youth, they run away from African spirituality because they don't see it as progressive. It is not cool. When you go to many shrines, it's always look dirty, unkept, and poor, look like a place whereby nothing is happening. You don't want to identify with it, look horrible. Start asking you for sacrifice and entries everywhere, blood, bones, and the rest. We need to modernize it to modern day reality by building modern day shrines with modern day tools. Like you have to screed your shrine if you have the money, put a POP there, put an AC, put a TV, computer. This is the way they do it in the shrines in China and in Thailand. I have been to those countries. When you go to their temples, you see it's we filled with modern equipment, just like a church. When you go to a church, everything is modern. We need to modernize our shrines just like that so that it will be cool. People will want to identify with it. Young people want to come there. But once again, we lack funds. A lot of African people, they don't believe in African spirituality. As you know, they are Christians. The only time they remember African spirituality is when they are sick, when they have tried the Western medicine, it's not working. They want to do something, they feel they are desperate, they will run to a shrine to go and do something. So most of our shrines lack money for modernization. The Babalawo cannot even feed himself and his children. So when anybody comes there, they practically take on any job, anything you tell them to do. Even if they cannot do it, they will say they will do it because they need money. So this is what is we are African spirituality suffers from lack of investment, from underfunding. So these are situations we need to look into as practitioners, modern day practitioners. We must modernize our practice. We must update it to modern day reality so that it will be cool to identify it. And most importantly, we must write books. What are you practicing? You should be able to explain it for them. You should be able to say, oh, this is this practice, this is the science behind it. You must be able to explain certain things. So we must write books. A lot of our people, due to colonization, they don't write any books. The knowledge, most people that we know secret stuff, they die with those secrets, and it's the hands. You have knowledge, you can't pass it to the next generation, you can't pass it to anybody. We should start writing stuff down. If you have an uncle, auntie that knows a lot of native medicine, tell them to tell you so you can write it down so that they can pass that knowledge to you. You can keep it or pass it on to the next generation. This is very, very important. This is what we need to be doing, preserving African spirituality. There's a lot of things that people know, very powerful stuff that they have to die with it because they cannot pass it on. So we must pass it on. We must write books, modernize it. We must come on YouTube, come on social media, talk about it, explain it for people. When people understand it, it will not be so scary anymore. They will see it for what it is and they will embrace it. People are afraid of what they can't understand. So once they can understand it, you bring light to the matter. A lot of charlatans will be exposed because charlatans deals on superstitious beliefs. So they just tell you lies, things that without scientific evidence, and expect you to believe it, and then they threaten you with the fear of a deity to strike you down if you do this, do that. Same thing like Jesus, they are using Jesus to threaten people in Christianity. If you don't believe in Jesus, you are going to hell. You come to African spirituality, they'll tell you one juju will punish you if you don't do this, do that. That is not, doesn't make sense. So we must identify this kind of people. When you want to practice African spirituality, it should not be by force. Nobody should commit you or say you must come to their shrine to be giving offerings. When you go to a spiritualist and they are trying to take away your freedom, just know that it's a wrong place you are. When some we want to tie your destiny to their own so that they'll be controlling you, you'll be giving them money all the time. If you're in this kind of situation, just know that that person is a vampire or a parasite. We have a lot of them there that instead of helping you, they want you to be under them forever. So they will promote themselves as a cult of personality. You need anything, you come to me. Under that person, you can never grow. African spirituality, you need to grow, you need to advance, you need to improve yourself. It's a constant evolution, constant development, constant spiritual advancement. So if you are not growing, you are not discovering new things, you are not learning, just know that you are in a wrong place. That person is a charlatan. Anybody that is trying to limit your knowledge, limit your capacity, just because you practice African spirituality, that person is not your friend. That person don't want you to grow in life, so you should cut that person off. So you must grow, you must study. You must study all religious system, all spiritual systems, study science, and bridge the two. Adapt your spiritual practice to modern day reality. When we bring light into the subject, those evil people that are spreading ignorance, they have nowhere to hide. They'll be totally exposed. That is why they don't want people to know about the subject, because when there's no explanation, they can tell you anything and you will believe it. But when there's explanation, when there's illumination, there's no way for darkness to prevail. So what I'm trying to do is to bring light to the issue, and I have been able to bring a lot of awareness to this subject, especially in data state, and change the mindset of so many people, especially with the writing of books, talking about the subject on YouTube, explaining the subject, how it works to people. Many people have been able to understand this much better and appreciate it. So I believe that if we continue like this, the problem, we don't have enough teachers. We need teachers, not fighters now. We need teachers. If we have enough people teaching this subject, within the next generation, a lot of people will leave Christianity. Christianity is already failing. Every day we see this and that the GOs stealing money, doing fake miracles, buying private jets. People are fed up, but they don't really know what to do or where to go. So if we can give them a better alternative with a lot of evidence and scientific facts and show them the way forward by exposing our true history and spirituality, I believe that a lot of people will come into African spirituality. We just have to focus on what we are doing, be steadfast on what we are doing, be dedicated, and it will bear fruits. It's already bearing fruits right now. For we coming to talk about this subject at this time, people are listening, people want to know more, people want to be free. So we just need to keep doing what we are doing. Okay, I have a lot of friends. When I started the practice, a lot of people were still in Christianity. I didn't, but I would just focus on doing what I'm doing. Now, a lot of people are, because of me, they are more oriented towards African spirituality. They don't see it as evil anymore. And many of them are not secretly practicing. So within the next 10 years, we're going to see a sort of spiritual revolution in the country. And once we start saying that, we know we are setting ourselves for the right track, people will now start holding their government accountable, asking questions, going into politics, and doing physical things that will change their destiny. When we get to that point, we'll know that, yes, we have arrived. Now we see some people on social media doing active works. You're going to notice the personality of Very Dark Man, So Worry. You will notice these two people, they are not Christians. They practice African spirituality, and they believe they know who they are. And you can see the impact these people are making in the country. Just only one person, you see the impact it's making. If that person was a Christian, it's not going to make that kind of impact. So just imagine the power of African spirituality if we those 50 people we serve as role models that will transform the consciousness of millions of people. So we don't even need to be many. We just need to be dedicated with what we are doing, and we'll make that impact. We have people in the past that have made impacts. It's not about crowd. Marcus Garvey, Theophilus Obenga, Thomas Sankara. Should I list more? Few people doing great things. We just need to focus like that.
Before you list more, I want to say something or ask one more question. And
Okay.
This was just sent to me just now. So it says, what does it look like in practice for a revolutionary movement like MOP to quote and unquote consult the ancestors or use spiritual practices in its strategy?
Okay, it's a good thing. Of course, quite naturally, when a group of people are gathered with a common aim, with a common goal, and call on the natural ancestors asking for change, for progress, and they are dedicated, it will naturally manifest. As a spiritual people, you can see this in Ghana. If you are familiar with Ghana, you see any of they are doing any of their government ceremony. Before they will start that ceremony, a priest will come with 2 bottles of drink to pour libation with both of his hands. The priest always pour the libation before the Catholic priest will not say his own prayer. This is how Ghana behaves. Ghana is successful because they take their African spirituality first before any other religion. But in Nigeria, you will see we have a national mosque in Abuja, a national church, but no African national African shrine. They don't even regard it. When if a political party like MOP come and it creates a central, it's a good thing. We have people role model. Fela is there. Great Nigerians that have done things before. We place them as icons, not only in Nigeria. People abroad. People like Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King. Pour libations to these people. It is not a bad thing to pour libations to great Africans before you start your meeting or before you start any. And people will go. This is what we need to be doing. When you call those names in the gathering before we start the meeting, then you know that yes, people are focused. When they hear those people, they know these are serious people that did great things. These are the people we should be honoring, not calling a foreign deity that was sent to oppress and colonize us. And you start the meeting with prayer of lies, you lie throughout the meeting, and end it with a prayer of lies. This is how they do meeting in Nigeria. They pray all the time. They are the biggest liars and the biggest thieves. We need to focus on centralizing our truth on people that actually made impact, positive impact in the country, and also in the continent and outside the continent. So it's the way to go. Remembering the ancestors. MOP has a good ideology, and but what I see is that they don't have a lot of awareness. A lot of people don't know about the political party. There's not a lot of publicity. I believe this is enough if they can create more publicity about the party and start doing symposiums or conference to talk about the party ideology and feeding candidates, then we go a long way. Because if people know about the ideology, I believe that at least all the spiritual practitioners, African spiritualists, then we want to join the party and they want to create a base behind it. So I believe there is potentials for it for growth and expansion and success as well. Being focused on Africa, Pan-Africanism. It's the only party that is focused on 100% Pan-Africanism in Nigeria right now, right? So Pan-Africanism and African spirituality goes together. You cannot be a Pan-African and be venerating foreign deities. You cannot be a Pan-African and be promoting the ideologies of Western colonizers. It's an oxymoron. Or how do you see it?
Yes, so
Yes, we must
you cannot be
connect.
moving forward while looking back. Yes, yes. Well, we also
Exactly.
have another question.
So we must focus
Yes,
on it. So
we
we
also have
must teach.
another question from our comrades. Yes, so I will quickly read it to you. So it says, I don't go to any religious places, but I feel a kind of connection. But I feel a kind of connection that I feel it is spiritual. It just comes out on its own, and I feel it has protected me before. Sh- Do I need to go to the shrine to harness it, or should I just leave it alone? That's the question.
Okay, it's good. Most of us we have this inner calling of you can call it intuition, you can call it your higher self. When you have this prompting of doing the right thing at the right time, you know that you're being guided positively. It's a good thing. If you are spiritually inclined, you must have something they call conscious talking to you. It shows that you are human. It shows that you are impact. You feel, and there's a time you will get to you feel like to expand this aspect of you to maybe want to do something positive for humanity. This is what propels us to come out to say we want to change some things in the society. We want to make a difference in the society. So if it involves you trying to connect more to your ancestors or connect to a particular deity, I will say go for it. Life is all about experience, expansion. We cannot be the same all the way. We change. The person I am now is not the same person I was 2 years ago or even last year, or even last month. We change every day. So expand your consciousness, make contact with different deities, study their characteristics. If you see a deity you like, you feel that both of you can work together, you feel that this deity speaks to you, you can incorporate that deity into your spiritual practice. This is the way I do it. I have made contact with different deities over the years, and so we come in while we study the deity, do some offerings, we make contact, and later on that deity will go, another one will come, and just go like that. We learn from interacting with elements in nature. We learn from interacting with other people. They say that iron, the sharp iron. So explore that by all means. Check it out. If you see that you go to a place, it's not something you are comfortable with, you simply leave. Nobody will force you. No African deity will force you to say you must venerate them, except maybe the person have a pact with them. Uh, but that is not for this discussion. But quite naturally, we have free will. Even if you have a pact or your family venerated a particular deity, you have a free will not to do that as a human being, and nothing will still happen to you. Mhm.
Thank you so much, Chififi, for your for your time on your deep river of knowledge. But
Okay.
I was going to highlight something that MOP started very recently. We had there's this we have a day that we set aside to honor our ancestors, to honor those that have sacrificed for us to be here. The event was last month, August 2nd, and we are hoping to have another one next year, but we would be needing all the possible support that we can get to make it even more grand than we did last month. So when the time comes for the preparation for next year's ancestors remembrance day, we will definitely reach out to you to see how we can collaborate and do something together. I don't know
No
if any
problem.
other
That is very
comments would
nice.
like. Yes, definitely. I don't know if any other comments would like to comments. Feel free to ask questions. Me, I have many other questions that I still want to ask. So, is there a way you can to Chief Ife now? Is there a way you can share your resources with us? I mean, like your references.
Yes, okay. References that I have come across in the past, there are some very good books that, if you want to know deep about Africa, about Kemet, there's this book called Spiritual Warriors Are Healers by Mufundishi Jaratimus. If you can get that book to read, it's a very fat book, very big. I have it here in my library. If you can get that book, you will know a lot of things about ancient African technology, ancient African fashion, ancient African architecture, ancient African culture, and the lifestyle. That guy wrote that book, very, very over 400 pages. You will see what Africans have been doing before Europeans even discovered how to beat. We have all those records. We have records of African doing things about up to 500 BCE before the first European even came out of the cave. So we have stuff. Don't think that we didn't invent anything. You can read that book. Then, if you want to understand our oracle system, there's this book written by Ranufera. This book was it's a Kemetic book. It's called Middle Nature Volume 1. It has Volume 4, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4. Middle Nature Volume 1, The Great Oracle of Tehuti. That book explains the African oracle system in clear details. A very good book to also get your hands on. It's a nice book that you can read. You can also read this book. I don't know the name, Mansions of the Soul. It's a very good book written by these Amor people. I've forgotten the author. Okay, I think it's J.S. Spencer, one of their foremost pioneers of Amor. Very good. I have a lot of books that are there. Then I will recommend some of my own. My books are kind of unique in the sense that I talk about modern science fused in African spirituality. I've written 4 books so far that they have not written. I don't think anybody in Africa have written these books. This one on quantum physics and African spirituality. In this book, I was able to talk about the quantum ring. When we say quantum physics, it is the smallest indivisible particle of nature. And this quantum ring is composed of the minutest physical particles in nature and invisible particles of nature. So this quantum physics is talking about the spirit world in Western parlance. So I was able to talk about this quantum ring and how it relates to African spirituality. And in this quantum ring, we have what we call dark matter consciousness. I don't know if you guys have heard it before. They say 70% of the world is made of dark matter. What is this dark matter? It is the building blocks of life. It exists in this ring. I talked about time travel, space travel, wormhole, gargouts, and some other advanced topics, even the origin of the Christian religion. I put it here, classification of African deity. I talked about negative space. What is this negative space? How is it affect us? So many advanced topics are here. I was able to tie it to African spiritual practices. So this book will help you understand some concept we have in African spirituality that you see our people practicing how to, and it relates to advanced science, making contact with entities or deities, or using advanced technology, what we call quantum entanglements. This is using a piece of particle of something to affect the whole of that thing. You know, sometimes I use that system as well. That system is backed by science, and they call it the principle of quantum entanglement, and we use it in African spirituality. So it's a real science, raw science that is here. Okay, very powerful book. So I've been able to write this one to push African spirituality forward. So when people are asking for explanation, the book will clear every doubt that they have. Okay, so this book is the first of its kind in Nigeria, and I believe the whole Africa is still very relevant. I wrote this book almost 9 years ago. This is the second edition. Then this one, Walking in the Shadow of the Gods, is a collection of African spells. I was able to collect over 200 African spells here for different kinds of illnesses, for different aspects of life, different things you can do from your kitchen, from your garden. This knowledge, I decided to preserve it in this book so that future generations and people that are interested, we have access to it. So if you are looking for a good book of spell, this is one of them that I also wrote. Very good book for different kind of illnesses. I put in the botanical names of the herbs, so it's easy for you to find them and use them. Took me years of research to write this book. Okay. Then this is another one again. Whispers of Amente, Pathways to Ascension. I wrote this one so that people that want to make contact or venerate African deities can make contact with these deities by reading this book. In the book, I talked about the deity, the characteristics of the deities, and I gave the steps, the rituals that people can actually use to contact or access the spirits. So I wrote this book primarily because of the problem of people making contact with charlatans that will deceive them and take their money and don't do anything for them, especially those people that we say they want to initiate you. They will ask you to bring a big amount of money for initiation. After initiation, they don't teach you anything. So if you want to practice African spirituality, making contact with the deities by yourself, in the privacy of your room, this book will help you. So the name was Whispers of Amente, Pathways to Ascension. And it will take you to, it's designed to ascend the soul of the practitioner. The major first deity here is Eshu. And we walk through, think of it as a path walking book. You walk through each deity. At the end of the day, you will settle for the one that your spirit connect to. There's deity of transformation, deity of ascension, deity of death and regeneration, deity of even destruction. All of them are here. Powerful book. One of the powerful. This one. This is part of advancing the development of African spirituality. Then this is the one I just launched last month, Plasma Physics. This one talks about the plasma ring, how ancient Africans were able to generate unlimited energy by creating systems that we call thermonuclear fusion reactors or generators to create unlimited energy. This plasma physics is the future of humanity, and it is rooted in African spirituality. Our own technology is here. So, in the way you talk about the nuclear fusion reactors, in Nigeria, a lot of people will tell you it's impossible. We don't have the brain, we don't have the technology. Only white people can make such things. Well, the truth is that we taught the white people this thing. And
Thank you so much, Chifefe.
knowledge in African
Komedoloye, I
spirituality.
see your,
So I was able to trace how they create
I
these
see
nuclear
your.
fusion reactors by mimicking how it works.
So yeah, so sorry to interject, Comrade Oloye. I see your mic is up. Do you want
Sorry,
to
sorry,
say?
sorry, sorry for that.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Please go on. But I
Okay.
have one more question.
I am not talked about the completely finished this book. Oh. This book,
No
what I'm
problem.
talking,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not trying to promote it here so that you don't say I'm using it, but it's very important book. It's also one of the first of its kind written again in Africa. In this book, I was able to tie plasma physics, quantum physics, and nuclear physics together, and I termed it the three tips of the trident of issue. If you have known the trident staff that is held by a deity, they call them Levida or Poseidon in ancient Greek. This is the domination over the sky, water, and land, and over the universe. Whoever possesses the secret of these three sciences, we have that the same power over the universe. If you can know how to apply the principles of nuclear physics, quantum physics, and plasma physics, you have become God in human form. Nobody can be able to stand in your way. There's a lot of tremendous power in this science that we must get into it. In fact, it is our future and our destiny. And African people need to get into this science. So I was able to trace how this was done in the past, incidents of nuclear reactors in the past, even ancient nuclear wars that were fought before this new generation. And I was able to trace how these nuclear fusion reactors were created. I took references from German scientists, Russian scientists, American scientists. This book is a very powerful book. So it's something that people need to read, and it will expand your mind, expand your consciousness, and it will take you into a whole new world of science and how you can be able to practice your African spirituality and get inspiration from it to do whatever you want to do. So it's a very good book that people need to get into. All these books, I wrote them because I want to advance African spirituality. I want it to be a thing of liberation, not about just doing empty offerings or playing dress up. There's work that needs to be done. The power that is inside, we need to bring it out and we need to practicalize it because there's a real science inside. What I do in my own study of African spirituality is to extract the science from the tradition. I don't do too much ceremonies. When I go to a ceremony, I study to see the science they are doing, and I take out the science and I study and practice that science. So this is the way I do my own, so that we can use this African spirituality to improve our life, to apply it to modern day, to solve modern day problems, modern day realities. This is what we need to be focused on. This is what we give us that liberation we are looking for. There's a lot of people, we see them dancing from morning to night. The dance, I don't know where it's going to take them to, but we need to find the science behind those dance. And when you find the science behind those dance, that is where that dance will become useful and important. Anything you see people keep doing, try to find out the science behind those things. So my study and practice, I try to take out what is useful and bring it out for people to use to appreciate the practice. This is how we can move forward by adding to the body of knowledge, bringing clarity, building on top it, and making a difference with it. The re-education, it's all about re-education. Okay, so please, I hope been able to clear this to a certain extent.
Yes, so thank you so much,
Thank
Chifefe,
you.
for your, for your time and for your dedication. Because I've been following you for a while. I've been following you for like I think more than a year now. You have
Wow.
over like 2,000. Yeah, you have over. I've watched a lot of your videos, and there's a
Thank
particular
you very much.
one that I saw, and I actually practiced it, and it worked. It worked for me.
Yes, sir.
That I'm in MOP today, that I'm doing what I'm doing today. It is not by mistake. I was able to set. I think there was a video you made on, I think, how to do road junction rituals. I think that was it.
Okay, pre-road junction rituals. Okay.
Exactly. So I was able to
Okay.
set the intention. I was very intentional about all the things, all the steps you highlighted in the video. And I just want to say that if you call out to the universe for something, or if you put out an intention to the universe for something, you must be ready to face what comes.
Exactly. Yes, this
You
is
must
it.
be ready to because it took me, it took breaking me down,
This is how
breaking
it
me
is.
down, breaking me down completely, then rebuilding me back up again,
That is how it
you know,
works.
to the kind to
Yes.
the kind of to I mean the kind of I'm manifesting what I'm doing today. What I am doing today, I thought about it was a thought. What I'm doing today in MOP, how far I've been able to go, it was a single thought, and I set that intention, I carried out that ritual, and it played. It wasn't in a day or 2 days. It was in over a year, almost a year now that I made that. I think it's been a year. It's been a year. It
This is
was a
how it
year. I
normally
think.
works. Mhm.
Yeah, it was a year. It was a year this September. I believe. Yes, September, August. So reflecting back on that experience, I can't wait to do a deep dive into this, into African spirituality, and even tie it to politics, because brothers and sisters, we are not fighting flesh or blood. These are powerful men. So, somebody used to tell me that any attack that you cannot see with your eyes, any attack that you cannot visibly see, it's spiritual.
Mhm.
So when our government officials, when they take their biro to sign, to draw up policies and sign signatures that would destroy or mortgage the
Borrow
destinies of
money,
200,
unnecessary
borrow that
money,
that's
borrow
witchcraft.
trillions, and they're not going. It's witchcraft.
That's
It's spiritual
witchcraft
attack.
right there.
They are selling the
Exactly.
people into
Wickedness
future
in high places.
slavery, wickedness in
Mhm.
high places.
So
Mhm.
witches and this they don't need to be flying around in the night. We see
No,
them
they
every
don't
day.
fly.
We
You see them in
see
government
them on the
offices,
altars. Yes, in churches,
in
in mosques,
churches.
everywhere. So I'm imploring comrades, brothers and sisters, I'm encouraging us. You this is our culture, this is our thing. This is for us. It is ingrained, it is embedded in our DNA. We don't need to go outside of ourselves. We don't need to. There's no question we are looking for. We just need to look within. So I'm sorry for going um, on that what I just said, but yeah, comrades, we are close to we are already at the closing or the conclusion of tonight's lecture. I don't know if any other comrades that like to add anything, or if there's any questions that comrade would like to ask. I think this is the moment for the comrades, so we can let our guest speaker go on time.
Okay, I'm happy to. It's a pleasure. Okay. Uh,
Okay, in the absence of no question, I would like to ask this one, and I know say people probably pay you to get answers to questions like this, but is there any way African spirituality uh, can treat, or if possible cure illnesses like diabetes?
yes, now we have a lot of medicine for diabetes. So, we have a lot of. I think I have 3 or 4 videos that people can use remedies for diabetes. They have lots of them. In this book too, there's remedy for diabetes. About 2 remedies are here. I also have remedies here in diabetes. I want to ask if for MOP, if they have a library. If you have a library, I would like to donate a set of my books so that you people can read them, can put it in the library. But I want this knowledge to go far. This is how we can spread this knowledge. You people need to have a dedicated library to have access to books, a digital library and a physical one. So people can, when they come in, they'll study your ideology. You give them books to read to grow their knowledge base. The library is very, very important for every movement. If you guys have, you need these books there because these are powerful stuff that I wrote here. I want you people to read them too, so that you will be on the same path, know to catch up with what is going on with the system. We need to move forward. We are way, way, way behind in Africa. We are way, way, way behind in a lot of things, and we need to catch up. So our work is not easy to do, and you're going to sacrifice a lot of things doing African spirituality work. You cannot live like other
Yes,
people. When people
so
are going to party, you cannot party. You cannot live anyhow. We keep doing this work morning and nights so that our future generations will smile. So work deal. So
yes, so and yes,
mhm.
definitely. Oh, comment up,
Yes,
please go ahead.
catching up to do. So it's a good thing that
I think
I'm very
one
happy.
of our comments, comment up. Would you want to say something? Okay. Okay, so yes, we have a library, Chief Ife. We have a digital library, and we are also working on setting up our physical library. But I would reach out, I would connect with you to see how we can get the books you mentioned
Yes,
in our library, in
yeah.
our physical library.
You need to have them so that people need to know this knowledge and start practicing them. When people read the books, they will not feel certain. They will know that African spirituality is not all about what most people are portraying. It is way, way deeper. It covers every aspect of life and it's advanced science that we need to focus on for our liberation. We must go in. It's the only thing that will liberate us as African people. Everything we are looking for is inside the African spirituality. We don't need to look outside of Africa. We don't really need to look for. We don't need anything. Africa have always been the paradise, the Garden of Eden. We have all the natural resources. That's why people keep coming to steal from us. We are not the one going to steal from them. They keep coming for gold, diamond, oil, cobalt, human resources. Everything is here. This is the Garden of Eden. It means there's any holy land. It is Africa. So we must go back. We must start digging into our past to unearth those things they have hidden from us. Discover there's what they call Sankofa, looking back to remember those things that you have forgotten and bringing it forward. So when you start reading to see the power of African spirituality, nobody can stop you. You will be unstoppable. And you find out you don't need to leave the continent. Other people are running to die in the desert to go to Europe or go to America. You don't need all those things. Everything we need is here. We just need to access it, and the sky is the limit for us. In fact, the sky is the stepping stone for us. So this knowledge needs to be had there, and we need to re-educate our people. Education is the key. The right education is the key. Okay, so if we start from
Thank you.
here and make a very positive impact, don't worry about if people are looking at you, laughing at you. Most of the rituals we do, especially rituals to the ancestors and rituals to open doors, it may not work instantly. It doesn't mean that it is not. As if you do it well, just know that that ritual work. It may not manifest instantly, but it must manifest in the future. Every action we do always have a corresponding reaction. So the way you make your bed is always the way you lie on it. So when we do the rituals now, we call the ancestors, we remember them, we do this work, we are creating ripples in time and space that we grow to start creating other ripples that will impact people. So keep doing what you are doing. Don't give up hope. It's a very difficult. Your families, they will neglect you, they will run away from you, people will spread lies against you, you will lose job, you will lose relationship, you will lose a lot of things, but all those things you lost, you will get them back. This is where I lost family members, I lost so many things because I choose to identify with African spirituality. All those things I lost, I discovered I don't even need them in the first place. So what I have now is what is needed. Who you see for heaven, I be your brother. So you need to know that this is a sacrifice, this is a work. for us. It's not a plaything, so we must take it seriously. It is only when we take it seriously that we will see the power of the ancestors working for us. A lot of youths, they don't want to work for the ancestors, but they want the ancestors to work for them. Find some things to get some things. So we are planning for the future. All this we are doing is for the future of Africa to be a better place. Okay, so don't think that you are here with. We are making impact. We are making impact. Okay.
Yes, so we have uh, one of our comment has his hands up. Comment Samuel, you want to share something with us, or do you have a question to ask? We are we are in the conclusion. We are close to ending tonight's lecture. Do you want to share something with us, comment Samuel?
Yeah, thank you, comrade. Greetings to all that comrade on the call. So, I mean, it's been a wonderful section, from what we learned from Efe West. So, I just add the question from what he just said last, from his last submission. I believe African spirituality goes a long way, but this question I want to tailor it regarding the religion itself. When he was talking about you have to lost a lot of things, because I understand, and some personal experiences I've had with other people, that practice African spirituality, they when you make steps in going into that kind of practice and religion, you know, it's very certain you have to lose a lot of things, maybe works, your relatives, your family, especially even your family, if they're against this kind of ideology, you want to bring in. So you probably lost a lot of people. So now this my question falls on, just like when you look at every other religion, the Christian, the Muslim, I mean, if you have someone maybe going into this religion, you see like these organizations, how they accept these people and guide them in the way for them to go in that kind of religion. Now, when it comes to the African spirituality, is there any form of organization between these African, you know, spiritualities and practitioners, whereby the ones who are, just like the Ifa priest or the Babalawo, we know them. Is there any organization between these guys that help them, whereby when we have new people who want to join this religion, they are there are things set in place for them? Because I believe in this society we live, you even declaring choosing that kind of religion, set you as a target, not from your
Mhm.
own self, yeah, but from the people around you as well. So sometimes you
Mhm.
ask, what are the things set in place in protecting these people? Because when
Mhm.
it all get done, when things happen, they will feel the heat, especially when you lost the people you've known for
Yes.
years, thinking their family.
Yeah.
So how does they help the people, in those kind of
Yes.
position? Because when you find
Okay.
out as
Thank
well,
you.
this African spirituality and these practitioners, they sometimes, they have the people they are helping, they make use them and make use them as the privilege. Sometimes you find some babalawo trying to tell you they are going to help you in your way, and they only just want to get the benefit or a gain, from you. So this is my question, coming F West.
Okay. Thank you. Your question is very, very good and is very, very needed. Um, the organization for people to join when they want to practice. Right now, we don't have a collective organization. You will see what people have now. You have certain, they call it houses, if a houses, whereby there's a babalawo that's in charge of a shrine, whereby if you want to learn African spirituality, you go to meet them and you join, that they initiate you. Then you start learning. Sometimes they'll say you'll be staying there, sweeping terrain, helping to do work, just like the way you want to learn any kind of profession. You'll be doing things in the shrine as you are doing, you are gathering experience. It used to be so in the past. They have the temples. Right now, we don't have any collective, say, national organization. Everybody that is practicing on their own. And some people, some practitioners have students that they teach. especially in the western part of Nigeria, in Oshun, Ogun, Lagos. They have their temples, Badagry. We see people that they teach. Here in Delta State, some people have temples like that, but it's not much. So you will have to learn by yourself if you want to practice. Like me, I learned by myself. When I wanted to join some places, the stress they were trying to give to me. Imagine me coming from abroad. They are saying I should come and sleep your terrain to be sweeping your terrain because I want to learn African spirituality. It's not going to work. So I learned a lot of things by studying about African spirituality, studying about my Kemetic spirituality, studying about other people's studying about other people's culture, and bringing it back to reality. And when I came back to Nigeria, I was going to different spiritual, or actually organize a kind of group that we were in. Some of my friends that were interested in the subject, we came together. We founded a group on WhatsApp, and we actually came to we're attending conferences, going to people's terrain and that. And later on, that group was broken down. Some people were trying to monetize it for their own selfish aim. Then when I see that that is not going to work, I started my own group. And I started my group by myself. I started teaching, studying. And I've been studying and teaching on my own group as well. My group is a bit expensive, so I don't really talk about it for Nigeria people. Most of the people that are there are foreigners, and it's a major problem. When I get into African spirituality, I did not know so many things. See, I went in because I discovered the truth about African history. That we have a history that we were the cradle of civilization. That there were all these I discovered accidentally when I was in abroad. I joined the AMOC Rosicrucian Order, and in the books they gave me, they were talking about philosophers coming to study in Africa. I was shocked when I discovered that Socrates, Aristotle, Strabo, Herodotus, all these big names, Greek philosophers came to study in Africa. I was like, which university they study in this Africa? I was under the impression that we invented nothing. We were like Tarzan living in the jungle. So where did these people came to study? It was then I discovered that ancient Egypt was a black civilization and it started from Sudan. And we have lots of things we have done before. When I discovered all this, I was shocked because nobody told me. So I said, so if this were true, that means there must be something wrong with the religion of Christianity. And then I traced Christianity to how it started. Because that time I was a very devoted Christian. And I don't want my soul to burn forever in hellfire. So for me to clarify myself, I need to find out the truth of the religion. So when I finally discovered that the religion was based on lies and Jesus Christ was the bad guy, I said that means the so-called Satan must be a good guy. So I switched from being a Christian. I went into Western occultism to study all I could study about this so-called Satan personality. I went there. It wasn't for me. Then from there, I started studying other spiritual parts. I studied by myself. But it doesn't mean you have to go through all those parts. So now things have been easy. You can study now by studying from history. African spirituality, you cannot practice as in isolation of your history. You must know real African history. When you know the history, you will have a solid foundation and nobody can push you or nobody can tell you lies. So I will say start from history. We have very good history books on African spirituality and African history. You can start from Journal of African Civilization, Evan Setima. We have people like Inoko Rashidi that have done great work. We have people like Dr. John Eric Clark. We have people like Sheikh Anta Diop. These are African authors that have really gone deep into African history. A lot of them are out there. You can research all these people. So you will study them, then you will do a lot of research on your own. You will do a lot of research. We have groups in America you can join, like the Asset Eru Society. It's a Pan-African society, Kemetic society. They have Kemetic temples in America. You can also join as well. But yeah, what I tell people that when you want to practice African spirituality, if you are still a dependent, you're living with your parents or you're living with somebody that you know is helping you to pay your school fees or supplementing you, you have to hide your practice. Most times when you practice and they know that you are practicing, they will stop giving you money for your school fees. Some people will even drive you out of their house. They will say it's witchcraft. or they will say you are doing evil things, or you must be a Christian, you must go to church. So please, if you are dependent on anybody, you are not fully independent. Hide your practice. Don't let them know that you practice African spirituality, because if they know, it's a big problem. They might end the financial assistance to you, and then you'll be in deep trouble. So please code it. I tell people, if you live in a place you are the only practitioner, don't even talk about it. Hide it. If you want to do your libation or anything, just pretend that you are doing something very trivial. Hide the practice, so that when after they have paid your school fees or giving their assistance, then you can go and show them, because if they know, it's a big problem. Oh. So don't go and be telling those people, just until you get what you want from them. Hide this knowledge, study it in your own secrecy, and just pretend that you don't know anything that is going on. Go to church with them, clap with them, pray with them, dance with them. Make peace reign. Okay, when you don't do on your own, then you fit now talk about the thing. Because it will cost many. Me, I learned the hard way. When I came back with the knowledge, I went to my family. I thought they'll be excited to learn the new things I have learned. I didn't know that the evil people that were in the family, when they discovered that I have known everything that they are hiding from me, I received so many spiritual attacks. I could not even sleep properly anymore in the house. Every night was spiritual attack. I never knew that the people I was thinking they love me so much, they are the people doing the evil things to me. So once you have this knowledge, you will start seeing the bad people in your environment. And once you start noticing them, they will know. So when you have this knowledge, please just pretend that you don't know what is going on. Pretend to be wayward, or just pretend that you are not. Don't show them that you know. If they know that you know, you are a big problem. They will just gang up against you, connect with all the other witches, connect with the evil pastor, and they will start attacking you collectively. And for a young person that you have not really started in life, you will have a lot of difficulty. So please, for now, if you are dependent, just play it cool until you leave that place. So that's all they're doing for Africa now. So in the future, we are planning to create a kind of organization. But right now, I'm not that buoyant enough for that. And it is still that's risky to come out publicly to want to challenge Christianity. These pastors, many of them are desperate. If they know that you are coming out with the truth, especially the churches from Rome, they can assassinate you. They have a kill squad. They go out, and anybody that wants to expose Christianity too much, they take you out. Simple as that. So you have to be careful with this. But there's a time will come that will be strong enough to come out in public to expose them for what they have, the charlatans and the criminals that they have. Okay. I hope that I've been able to answer that question.
Thomas Samuel.
Yes. You do come.
Yeah,
I mean, you've touched a lot of parts. Thank you.
Okay.
thank you so much, Chief Efe. And make una no worry. By the time MOP comes to power, all this behavior from all these religious institutions will regulate everything. So
Yes.
um, yeah, and you were also right when you said when you begin to practice African spirituality, you will begin to see many of these people for who they are. In fact, they will begin to look like zombies to you. They will begin to look
Exactly.
like demons.
Mm-hmm.
As in their face will just
They'll
look
be
somehow
very
like
toxic. You cannot even stand there. They'll be toxic.
exactly,
Everything about them will be so toxic.
exactly.
You'll be seeing it clearly that these people, they are anti-nature. You'll be seeing it. You cannot even stand it. So most times you will find yourself by yourself all the time. With this thing, a lot of practitioners talk about the loneliness in the group. When you have this knowledge and you be in a place all the time, nobody can connect with you. How do we connect with like-minded people? How do we need to have like a unity group to share knowledge, to know that we are not alone. This is very, very important. We will create those groups. We tried it. I tried some in the past. Sometimes the
Uh,
evil people we try to infiltrate.
yeah,
But in the future, we're going to be so
talking
strong
about
that mhm.
talking about making forming groups or making alliances now. I don't know. We are still trying to get our comrades in Delta State to reach out to you to see how we can, integrate you into our activities in MOP. So we can begin to share ideas and work together in this liberation struggle. But as soon as we get across to our comrades in Delta State, they will reach out to you and they will begin your
Okay,
onboarding
no
process.
problem. Okay, thank you.
Very, thank you so much. Thank you. We are very blessed to, have you come grace our platform this evening. And tonight's conversation has been very, it has
The
been very
pleasure is mine. I'm
eye-opening.
happy to be here. This is part of the work. We need to be talking about this issue. Let's say Facebook page, you start online first. Online, if it becomes physical, can be Facebook or YouTube, social media. People keep talking about the subject. We need to keep talking. When we are talking, generating interest, answering questions, explaining things, our youth will start taking notice. And when they see that they have young, progressive, modern day people in African spirituality, then we know that they need to be part of it. So we must put a face to the thing. Right now, a lot of people are not coming out to talk about for this case of African spirituality. So we need to put ourselves out there. So it's a good thing. I think MOP have that responsibility to be able to position African spirituality in a very positive light. So there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of reading, a lot of explanation, a lot of symposium, conference, a lot of things, active role in playing, showcasing African spirituality. And I believe that we can be able to do it. So I will support whatever I can do to move African forward. Anything that will move African forward, I support that in already. Because this is what we are here to do. So I'm very happy to be here today. It's a pleasure. I hope we can be doing these kind of things maybe once in a month, talking about different topics. Thanks once again. It will be very, very good if we can increase this platform is limited. If we can use a broader platform like YouTube or maybe something where a lot of people can, or Facebook, can join the conversation, I think it will go a long way. When they see young people talking about this with facts and science, and it will trigger or inspire other young people to want to be part of it. Mhm.
Yes, yes, definitely uh, we would work on that. The reason why this is like this is because this program is from the Education and Ideology Committee of MOP. So this program is for
Mhm.
MOP members. So that's why we
Mhm.
structured it that way. But moving forward, we would find a way to bring you on many of our programs to see how you can also push the envelope regarding reclaiming our African identity and regarding African spirituality as well. So comrades, thank you so much for
The pleasure
staying
is
this.
mine.
Yeah, thank you so much for comrades that joined in also. Thank you so much for taking the time to join in on the conversation. Comrades that asked questions, that shared their contributions. Thank you also for your for your wonderful contribution on Chief Efe West as well. Once again, thank you so much for your time.
The pleasure
I
is
would
mine.
want,
I'm very
yes,
grateful.
I would want our brothers and sisters tonight to, move forward using every tool at our disposal, like Chief Efe has said, using the internet, using, even our own day-to-day activities. We can Let's find creative ways to infuse African history, to infuse African thoughts into many of the works that we already do. So yes, comrade, we are 24 minutes behind schedule, behind our closing schedule. I don't know if I should take any more questions before we officially close the lecture. Comments, any last contribution before we officially close?